Spain was fun. Spain was challenging. Magnificent track. I think Andy and I both, fell in love with the European track. We had a competitive qualifying for our final 2 U.S. rounds of the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Series. I started race 1 in the car. We were in less than ideal conditions. We had gotten some rain that morning, and they did not call it as a rain race, so we were out on slicks. My stint was all about preservation. There was no traction on turn-in, on mid-corner, on exit. There was no rear traction. It was probably some of the diciest conditions that I've been on slicks before. So for me, it was about adapting and just pushing as hard as I could, as safely as I could, before I turned the car over to Andy.
Once I got in the car for race 1, we were still in a really good spot. It was a lot of cautions, I think because of the conditions, and just everybody was being ultra aggressive. It was the last 2 rounds. So really the majority of my stint were restarts. And on one of the restarts I was able to get probably 3 or 4 spots in class and picked up about 8 spots overall. And I could see the podium in our class, but unfortunately, one more full course caution came out right at the end, and they weren't able to restart the race. We had such a good car at the end of race 1 that I thought we had a shot at maybe even winning the thing because I could see the leader, but unfortunately this wasn't meant to be. In race 2, the final US race, we started P2 in class, 7th overall. Had a pretty strong start. I think I got up to maybe 3rd overall on the start and had a good stint. Had a little bit of a problem coming into the pits for the pit driver change. And as I was getting out of the car, I wasn't able to loosen one of the belts before I got out. And so I ran around the other side of the car as he was climbing in. And unfortunately, while he was getting buckled in, I was trying to loosen that same belt for him. I leaned over and leaned on the radio in the car and changed the channel. So we lost all comms with him for his stint.
Slade, radio check 1, 2. Hey guys, I have no radio communication with Slade.
I got in the car and went to work. After a period of time, I realized that it was radio silence, and I knew that everybody was probably trying to talk to me and that we had a comms problem again, which had been a challenge throughout the weekend. Headed into turn 1, I broke a little too late and ran out of traction, and unfortunately, anybody who knows any of those turns there, I hit the gravel and was just very methodical about my throttle application and continuing to keep momentum into the car so that it did not come to a stop. Fortunately, I was able to get it back on the racing surface, but got back racing, finished, and ultimately that secured the P3 for Andy and I in the US rounds for Lamborghini Super Trofeo.
We went into the World Finals kind of expecting to be a little bit on the back foot compared to the European cars. They had been on the new rear tire before. They had a little more experience. They also run a slightly different exhaust and a different tune. And a couple of other things that are slightly different than what we're allowed to do in the States. They're supposed to put some of that stuff back to our US spec for the World Final races, but we didn't have a whole lot of faith in that. But qualifying ended up being pretty good. I had a strong lap in qualifying, put us P6 overall and P1 in Pro-Am out of 16 Pro-Am cars, and so I was pretty happy with that. I knew that was going to put us in contention for the World Final races. And then in race 1, we started off really strong there too, got up to 2nd overall because of kind of some calamity in turn 1. But really after that, it was a lot of challenges to overcome beyond the first stint there.
I took over in my stint. Andy gave me the car in a great position. We were sitting generally P2 overall. Got out on track and just went to work. I was managing my pace. I was managing traffic behind me. We had a number of pro trains get behind me. The team was communicating. I would let them pass when it was safe to do so.
He was just under a barrage.
Yeah, it was
the whole time.
I was just getting hammered. So I had 2 rounds of the pro cars come through, and successfully let them around. I dipped back in, try and hook onto the back of their train, and keep going. And as we headed into turn 10, the pro car right behind me just got a little too greedy. Touched my right rear corner, which caused me to lose the rear end. Off into the gravel. He went spinning. He hit another car. That car went spinning.
Yeah, I got hit. They took a bunch of other cars out.
Again, it was another fortunate moment where I was able to keep momentum in the car going and re-enter the race surface.
It was a big save.
It was a big save.
The onboard was crazy to watch.
Lost a couple of positions in it, but ultimately, was able to bring a busted up car back over the finish line for a P5 finish for the first race of the Worlds. My qualifier, Jeff had given us a really great car at that point. Andy and I were very happy with it. I had 20 minutes to get out there and put down the fastest lap I could. Ultimately, I put down the fastest American AM driver lap for Pro-Am. I started out in the car for the Sunday race. We went out for our sighting laps, and as we began to run those, we started to get rain in certain turns. Traction started to degrade, and midway through one of those sighting laps, they called it a rain race.
We're flagging wet race now. What do we do? Okay, what that does is it adds 30 seconds to our pit stop time. Ken is coming out and is going to make an adjustment on the little race logic dude. We're looking at the radar here. This is it. It's clear after, so we are not going to wets. We are not going to wets.
Green flag flew, running into turn one. Always a mess. European rules for green flag race starts is different than the US. You can pass the moment that flag starts. So, we were 4 or 5 wide going into turn one. I was able to navigate through while banging off a couple of different cars, picked up a couple of positions, and then just went to work for the rest of my stint. Handed Andy a car in P6, and he went to work.
Like Slate said, they added the 30 seconds to our timer, but there was a miscommunication on our pit stop, and over the radio I was being told a different countdown than what I was seeing on the pit timer. And so in the confusion between the two, I decided to go with what I was hearing over the radio from our engineer. And unfortunately, we left the pits about 7 seconds late. So that put us near the back of the field in Pro-Am by the time I left pit lane. Made the stint kind of difficult, having to fight with some cars that we wouldn't have otherwise had to fight if we didn't have the miscue and the pit stop. But ultimately, near the end of the race, we just wanted to bring it home clean. I think we came home P9 in our class out of 16. Not the finish we wanted ultimately at the end of the Worlds, but in general, I think our pace and we had some good highlights that just kind of gives us some confidence, I believe, going into next season's World Finals. Hopefully we can pick up where we left off this year and be a bit stronger next year.
2024 Trofeo season, for both Andy and I and the Flying Lizard Motorsports team, we had highs, we had lows, but at the end of the day, we did it all together. I learned a lot this year. Andy learned a lot this year. Did a lot of development work. We have more development work to do, and we're very excited to head into 2025 and take that back to the grid, try and pull a P1 for the US Championship and a P1 for the World Championship. That's my personal goal. I know it's a goal of Andy's. We're gonna be working really hard for it next year.